Hi team, welcome to Fish Monitoring. This is your basic introduction. What is fish monitoring and how are you going to do it? First of all, we've got to understand a few things. We need to know, what's your goal? What are you monitoring and why? And once you know that, you can choose a location, what's going to be best. So for your whole unit, I want you to consider a place. I want you to consider a location. And it can be as simple as one fish tank that you have access to. Or it could be as diverse as a river location or a pond that you have access to that has fish in it. We don't need to go into the marine environment for this unit, but we do need to know what our fish condition is, what their number is, part of their cycle, the biomass. Are they healthy? When we look at fish monitoring to work out their health, there are two internal organs, which means, yes, we're going to have to dissect fish in this unit. We need to look at the gonads, which is the sexual reproductive organs, and we need to be able to measure that against the weight of a wet fish, which means a whole fish, everything inside of it, and work out if the organs versus the weight gives us a healthy fish. Then we can also do another one with the liver. Now the liver, as you'll find out later, is very important when you look at fish that you might buy one from the fish markets. Has that fish been caught sustainably, as in healthily, or was it maltreated? Because our livers are very, very fragile. If I knock my liver in a car accident with a seatbelt against it, it will bruise, okay? So it's the same for a fish. We need to weigh, measure and look at those organs, and we can't do that without a dissection. So when you are looking at your fish monitoring, are you going to capture, photo, measure, release? As in, I only want data of, are they growing? What sort of species do I have in the area? Are they healthy? What sort of condition are they in? We can do that on photo, capture, measure, count, visual count, let them go, non-invasive. But there are some times where we need to be invasive and we need to do dissections. Just letting you know that one. So some of the reasons to dissect the fish is to find out if the toxins in the environment are starting to be ingested by the fish. It's going to tell us if the environment or the habitat that the fish is in is actually very, very healthy or not. So, for example, Darwin Harbour did a biome abundance count as well and looked at the whole environment and got one lot of data and went, no, we've got a really healthy system, until they did a gonad and a liver biopsy and realised they were full of toxins. So all of the oils and all of the industry that existed was actually leaching into the water in the harbour, and the fish were ingesting it. And it shows up in those sexual reproduction, which means the fish weren't being as prolific as they should have been. And the fact that the liver is a filter, so it holds those toxins. Okay, so we do need to do those sort of tests and wait. And a liver is an organ where you can survive on a minute particle of it, and it will grow back if it's healthy. If not, it will not grow back. So if you have a full functioning liver and you lose half, it will grow back unless your whole system is not well. Okay, so that's why we have to do dissections and take those vital organs out. It's a bit like doing an autopsy to find out why something died. All right. Now, once you're looking at your location, you have to think, well, is that location going to be good for me for my ultimate objective of my monitoring? For example, I've got lots of fish tanks in my classroom. If I was to ask, are they healthy, I can do an observation and monitor where they are sitting in the water table within that tank. Are they all sitting at the bottom? Are they all sitting at the top? What does that tell me? Does it have enough oxygen? Does it not? But do I have a true indication of how healthy those fish are? Not always so. Okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, what is our objective? What are we going to be monitoring and why? This can be anything, absolutely anything. The choice is really you. The next one might be our location. So if I was going to look at maybe the fishing, is the fishing in Cooktown having an impact on our river fish, predominantly our barramundi in the river? Am I going to have enough data just by looking? Maybe not. Am I going to have enough data if I do single line hooking of fish and capture rates? Maybe not. Am I going to be correct if I used either a gill net or a seine net? Maybe, but it's illegal. So I can't put a net across a river without a permit. What I can do though is look for the data from, say, a fishing comp in the local area. What captures of barramundi were done on that day? That would help me in doing my fish monitoring without hurting anybody else. So think of your ideas, think outside the box. Try and not be too invasive unless you have to. So the dissections are invasive and they have to be done sometimes. It doesn't mean that we don't, okay? Next one. Knowing what to expect is helpful. What am I going to find in this location? What fish are there going to be? What can I expect? Now this can come down to what species, what environment, what biomass, what weather conditions, what water conditions, and we all know that, that's abiotic. Do we know all the species? Perhaps we might need to do some research before we start. Perhaps we need an identification chart so that we know what fish we're looking at straight away. Some of these fish though, at different ages and whether they're male or female, look different as well. So make sure you've got an identification right around their life cycle so that if you're looking at a junior wrasse compared to an adult wrasse, it's something totally different. Also between a male and a female, I know in my fish tank in my classroom I've got male and female guppies and people will go, oh, they're such pretty ones, those ones. I go, yeah, they're the male ones. The female are very, very bland, all right? What, why and how are you doing this? What are you going to do? Why are you going to do it? And how are you going to do it? When you start thinking of how though, the one thing that I always think about when I'm going to go to any location is work health and safety. What do I need to be aware of? I live in Cooktown, that's far north Queensland. I need to be aware that there's crocodiles. I need to be aware that any time I go at least 2 metres before the water, not in the water, before the water, I'm now in danger. I can never turn my back to that water. I always have to be visual. It's easier for me to step back and start running than to have my back and not see it coming because they're really super quick. The other thing is I have irrigangi in the water. If I'm going to enter into the water, I need to know what's going to hurt me. That's number one for me. Number two might be, what am I going to do if I get stung by an irrigangi? Do I have vinegar with me? Do I have access to medical? In Cooktown, it's a 3.5 hour drive and at least a 2-hour flight because it takes them an hour to find me, get me on the plane and then send me to Cairns before I've got any help whatsoever. So make sure you have backups and you understand all of your work health and safety. What equipment am I going to need to do my objective in my location with work health and safety? So I'm going to have to need this equipment. I'm going to need my first aid. And that can also include phone numbers for anybody else that's with you. Equipment could be, do I have this identification chart with us? A flip chart. Is it going to be used above water or below water? Do I need waterproof pens? Is it going to be that I need a tape measure to record my areas or size of the fish? Do I need also my cameras, underwater cameras? Great ways of recording data. So these are all of the things that you're going to learn in this unit. We're going to look at what fish monitoring is, how to do it, and there's a bit of maths involved. Get ready for that. Make sure that you can do all of this safely, can locate it, organise it, and then conduct it. So within this fish monitoring course, you actually are going to do one, and then you're going to write down and record your data and put it in a spreadsheet and deliver it. Have fun.